Hi, welcome to Clarinet HQ. This video covers Duet number 8 from our Crossing the Break Survival Guide. So you can download the workbook and the music at our Clarinet HQ website, and the link is below in the description of this video. If you would like to skip to the play along, you can go to this time. So there are two things that can be a little tricky within this duet, and so we're going to give you some tricks to help you play at your best. One of them is playing softer dynamics with a good tone and in tune. And then the other one is counting dotted notes. So when you play at softer dynamic levels, you're using less air, but it shouldn't feel like you're using less air. So it's actually your tongue position that focuses your air and speeds it up. So it's really important to keep that high tongue position when you're playing all the time, but especially when you're playing softer dynamics. So if your tongue is too low, you might get an undertone that sounds like this. So that's an undertone. So if your tongue position is too low, it might sound like that. It might also sound like this. You might end up getting a little bit of the note out, but then it falls back down to the lower partial. Okay, and so those are two things that can happen if your tongue position isn't high enough. So our High Note Hacks playlist can help you out with your tongue position. And then we also talk about lower partials and partials on the clarinet within the Crossing the Break Survival Guide as well. Sometimes when we're playing a softer dynamic level, we bite in order to feel like we're in more control. But what happens when you do that is you put too much pressure on the reed with your jaw. And that can create like a pinched tone, and it also makes you really sharp. So a way that you can make sure that you are not biting to get a softer sound is by playing with a tuner. So I want you to listen for the clarion D and how I start it, and then I'm going to pinch the sound, and then I'm going to bring my chin back down, and it should open the sound up. So what I was doing is I was bringing my chin, and I was up a little more, and I was also trying to bite. And you definitely heard that the pitch got higher and the tone got pinchier. So how can you avoid going sharp when you're playing at a softer dynamic level? So as you play softer, you want to make sure that you are pointing your chin straight to the ground and that you're using your mustache muscles to stabilize the reed and the mouthpiece. All right. You can also check out our video called 3 Ways to Get a Perfect Flat Chin. And that's really going to help you focus that chin down to the ground so that you can make sure that you're playing in tune with the best embouchure. Something else that we should take a look at in this duet is any measure that has a dotted quarter note in it. So we're going to start with measure 10 because that's the first measure that has a dotted quarter 8th rhythm in it. So if you are going to count dotted quarter notes correctly, you need to make sure that you're subdividing in your head, which means that you are hearing the 8th notes as you play even the quarter notes. So while we would count measure 10 as 1, 2, 3, and 1, in our heads we should be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right? If you hear that subdivision in your head, then your rhythms are going to be more accurate, all right? So now let's look at measure 12. In measure 12, we actually start out with a dotted quarter note. Even though we count this measure 1 and 3, 4, 1, in our heads, we should be hearing that subdivision. So we should be hearing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Another way you can practice dotted quarter rhythms is by actually playing the subdivision. So it might help with measure 12 if you play it like this. Okay, where you are actually tonguing each of the eighth notes that make up the dotted quarter note. Okay, and once you get comfortable with that, then you can have that subdivision going on in your head, but you play it the way that it's written. And of course, you always want to make sure that when you are practicing subdividing, that you have a metronome going to make sure that you're being as accurate as possible. All right, let's play. One, two. One, two. Excellent. Only 2 more to go in the Crossing the Break Survival Guide. We've got this. So if you have any questions about crossing the break or anything clarinet related, you can post them in the comments below and we're happy to help.